Back to back, baby. Goat phreys. Look at him go. 72. Super exciting this one. And sorry for the audio quality. Won't be as good today. I'm on road. Didn't bring the mic, but Goat phreys. 72. How can you back to back 70s in his third game of of NRL? Absolutely spectacular. And obviously the winning field goal there. I personally tipped the Dragons, so it was exciting for Humphreys. Not so exciting about my tip going down, but he's up owned by 30% now, which is sad to see. Obviously he scored incredibly, but for him to go, and be owned by so many people now, congrats to everyone who's an owner, but it was nice when he was a pod. 6% last week into 30%, which is still pretty crazy that he's only owned by that many. And if you did hold off on him, hopefully next week you decide to jump on, because the train has left the station. I think he's going to be probably up near 480 or something like that this week with how the games have played this week. It's still a pretty high scoring week for sure. And yeah, I'm glad that he's been my pick of the preseason. I can at least hang my hat on that, no matter how this season goes, especially with Payne out there. Absolutely dominating. My goodness, the offload king. Him and Greg Marzu to start the season. If you had both of them, you are just loving the offloads that have been thrown out the back there. So dominant. But Humphreys there, he did miss a few more tackles, obviously, and had an error in there. 3 missed tackles, 1 error. Kick meters still up at 647. Incredible. Run meters at 75. He's not taking the line on stuff as much. He's playing a bit more of an organizational type role. And they've got 2 wins. So that's super exciting. And there is news around Lewis Dodd going down with a little bit of a calf problem in their game in New South Wales Cup yesterday. A lot of people were following that one, and hopefully you did jump on Humphreys after seeing that, because obviously they played just beforehand. They always do, play before the main game there. So that's Humphreys. Incredible effort, 72 for him. You cannot ask for much more with the 4 goals, the try assist in there as well, with the 1 line break assist in there, just sending our boy Cody Walker into a bit of space, which for those that are asking about that try assist, we're still trying to work out where Harry Grant's try assist was from last year. Can't get the old close to the line ones. You have to send them into the gap, and that's what I learned last year. He at least passed it in and led Cody Walker into the gap, is what I've worked out there. So that was a fun player to own, that's for sure. And Jaden Sewell was 71, a really impressive game for him. Just the 1 missed tackle. They had 4 offloads as well, and had 52 in base. So very exciting for him, and a good bounce back game. And unfortunately, I was looking for him to potentially drop in some price, but a 71 stops that after his low score last week. He'll be up and down. He's really only had the one stretch of about a couple of months where he was 50 very regularly. Gutho, 66 for him, 46 average, and he's gone back-to-back massive tons in Supercoach, which is wild. But they've also had 2 fun games or so. They obviously lost their first one, but they've had 2 sort of higher scoring games in the 20s, which he's going to be involved in a lot of their attack, it seems. And they look like they had plenty of decent attack, but their defense, on both sides, to be honest, it was pretty lackluster. Every time one of the 2 teams got down and had an opportunity to score, they pretty much did. So, yeah, Gutho 66, well done to him. I think he'll average pretty well this year, and what's funny is that I picked him up last year after a 60-odd. I won't be doing the same again, obviously, with their bye. That's going to stop that one from happening. What about Sean Keppie? 64 minutes in this one, and just note, guys, that there was 2 injuries in this one. Tallis Duncan being one of them. I hope that he's okay in this one, and he can only be out for a couple of weeks, but it does seem like a hamstring problem. And yeah, as I said, hopefully he's okay. But 64 for Keppie with a try, thanks to him going over for a Pete Mamazellus try assist, which that one made me smile. When he went over for that try, I'm playing him in Supercoach straight up as well. As well as fantasy, so I was very happy with that. But Keppie, 64 minutes with 40 tackles. Good on him. DeBellin, 60 minutes for him with a 60-pointer as well. Another game where there was plenty of base stats. You can see there, Couchman, 45 tackles along with JDB. Sewer with 37. Humphreys, 26 at half. Did defend a little bit on the right edge when they had some of their injuries as well. Jai Arrow went off with a head knock, and Tallis Duncan, who was the replacement on the edge. So Humphreys defended there, and then they had Sullivan defend in the centres there. But with, DeBellin, a really good score there. I may as well talk about Couchman while we're here. 59 for him in 62 minutes, and he actually got moved to the bench. So if you were thinking of buying him and then pushed away from that one. That is so frustrating because, came out and played the rest of the minutes after Blake Laurie went off at 18 minutes. Couchman came on and played 62, and 2 incredible games in a row for him. Very impressive, 58 into a 59, and he's definitely someone we have to look at, coming after their bye in round 3, and it looks like he's just going to get through his base, which is awesome, and that shouldn't change too much unless they get absolutely hammered against, I believe, the Storm in round 4. That he could get like a 40 or 45 like we saw with Hopgood last week. But if he happens to get through that one and play pretty well, he's going to be very quickly up to a 600k price point. And still at that stage is a pretty solid buy if he's going to have an average well over 50, which in these minutes at the moment, he's got 70 minutes into 62. This probably feels fairly normal. But it was strange to see him actually come off the bench. And I'm not sure if it'll happen next week, and that's or next game for them. And that could be the frustrating thing, is just seeing him off the bench, hoping that he doesn't come off after a first stint. If he gets on at 20 minutes or 18, like we saw in this game, and then, something happens in game and he actually comes off, then he could be sitting at 45 to 50. And that's where you want him as a starter. But a really impressive effort from Toby Couchman. He had Sloan in there with 59 with the double on that right-hand side, and he does offer a lot more than what we see, Payne. Obviously with the running of the footy, very, very impressive on that front, and well done to him on that with the 59. You had Tuipulotu with the 58 as well, but before I get that, I didn't even get to speak about my boy, Beat Mamazelis. Did look like he was going to be interested and involved in the first 10 minutes, and a few people said, it looks like Mamo's on today, and that's exactly how it played out. He picked up that try, got the try assist to Kepi as well, tackled well, 38 for 2, which, there will be games I think we'll have more as well. Just hasn't been the case yet where he's gone that 45 plus, which I'm sure there will be times, and he played the full 80, obviously, I think, with the injuries as well that happened, and they had to move some things around. 50 run meters is great, and he ended up having a forced dropout as well. So good stuff for Pete, and hopefully he did play him. At 330k to get a 60 is absolutely incredible, and averaging 47.5 now for his couple of games to start the season. I personally didn't play Hubner, so I was a little bit annoyed at that. I went Duffy over Hubner. Based off last week, that was a pretty fair play. Duffy got to 40, just all in base, and Hubner picked up his 34 in 60 minutes. So if there was any drop in minutes, does that drop as well? But he turned it on in this game, Hubner, and scored a lovely 50. But Tuipulotu with 58 for him with that try, the try assist, 3 line breaks in there and 240 meters. Had that really big run as well. He got through Jamie Humphreys, which was tough to watch given I really wanted, I just really wanted that left-hand side, and every time I watch him score now or do something well, I'm like, that left-hand side, that was the play. And it was the play again. It was the buy. I did think he was going to score well this week, and he came out and did just that at 464k, and he'll be well over 500 coming into round 4 against the Storm, which it does seem like that left-hand side or the right-hand side defensively for the Storm is not their best side. That's for sure. But yeah, Tuipulotu, really solid score. Same with Jai Gray. Back-to-back 53s for him, which is a lot higher than I actually expected for him. I was thinking maybe get a 45 average across the first 2, and that 557 price point wouldn't be a great one. It'd probably be a little bit too high. But he ended up, outdoing that and scoring tries and ran for 313 meters. That is absolutely ridiculous. That has to be close to a record as well for Jai Gray. Amazing stuff. For him to have 313 run meters, no offloads, and only 4 tackle breaks, it's pretty tough. Emre Gula, he's just doing the business, isn't he? Another game where these Dragons middles are just making so many tackles. It seems to be played 100% through the middle. Their first 2 games that they've had, for sure. Obviously against Dolphins. And then, was it Dolphins? No, Knights. And then, Knights? No, that's wrong. Tigers. Yeah, they beat the Tigers. Yeah. Tigers played plenty through the middle, and then Dragons played plenty through the middle as well, and the Bunnies do. So there you go. Fun game for those two. What am I talking about? The Dragons played Dogs last week, who definitely played through the middle plenty as well. Anyway, lots of tackles. Will that continue? I don't know. But Gula ran for 49 meters and still had 2 offloads in that, but 42 tackles for 2 misses. So that's where a lot of these points are coming from. And will that continue happening is going to be the question for the Dragons. But yeah, 399k with a 51 score is incredible. Hubner with a 50 in 51 minutes at 266k. So if you don't own him, he's definitely a target. It's 23.5% owned, pretty solid. If you played him, you're very happy. If you didn't play him, a little bit frustrated with it like myself, but I think overall it's great to own someone that's going to hit a 50 and make you plenty of cash. Very similar to Sandon Smith. I did play Hubner at least, so he won't sit on my bench on my emergencies the entire year. But yeah, 50 for Hubner on that one there. Cook with 45, 67 minutes. Can't believe that they still are playing Little for such little minutes. Wild. And they've lost both games. What are you doing? Get him on the park. Seriously. It's just a mistake, week after week. I don't know what's happening there. So Cook 45, just keep getting that price down a little bit lower before we get him to bigger minutes, if something happens. Flanagan, 45 for him, 2 tries. Has he got a baby on the way, or has he got a baby here? There's a couple of baby celebrations there. So good on him, but yeah, loss in this one, not good. How good's Hamish Stewart? No negatives in this one. Picked up a try assist off the ground as well, off the canvas. 45 in 32 minutes. Very impressive. The minutes are a little bit of a worry, but they are playing their other middles just for so many in this game. And obviously, Blake Laurie as well. 18. I'm saying obviously a lot. I'll stop that now. Lockie Ilias, 39 for him. With Hamish, guys, I don't know if you can buy now. He'll be up at 280 after this. 290 potentially. 45 and 41. Yeah, you might be close to the 290 actually. Definitely. And yeah, the minutes is going to be the problem. Let's see. Up against the Storm, it could be a little bit different. Ilias with 39 with the try assist, 544 kick meters. So that was massive. Very low on the run meters. He was actually on mid-30s with about 25 minutes to go. So to finish on 39, if you bought him or if you're holding on to him, it's a little bit frustrating, given you're hoping for 45 plus. A 39 is still decent. It's much better than his 27 last round. And hopefully that's a step in the right direction. But he is going to be up against that left-hand strong side of the Storm in round 4. So I don't know how important he's going to be after this week. This was the one where you wanted him to score well. Very similar with Val Holmes at 37. You wanted him to score really well in this one. Did have 2 offloads, ran the footy plenty, had that 1 error, which was frustrating for him, and Luciano Leilua, 34 as well. So left-hand side, apart from Tuipulotu, wasn't as strong, but you did see Gutherson get a lot of those try assists. The 37 for him there. Obviously, a really good game for him last week in the high 60s, and then the 37 here. So 51.5 across the 2 weeks, not too bad at all. Davi Moali has not stepped up at all, so I've completely got that one wrong. He's actually looks... In the trial, I thought he looked really good. Back end of last year, he looked really good. And he doesn't look the same player in these first 2 games. So that's been frustrating to see that he hasn't had that breakout. How do you not have natural improvement? I don't know. 27 tackles, 2 misses, not 1 tackle break, not 1 offload, and he actually doesn't look like it. So I'm not sure what's happened in this one. I'm very glad that I have sold him at 410, and I hope most of you guys did as well. He's now down at 0.5%, so I think most have, and that's the correct move. I'm glad he didn't go absolutely bonkers, but I'm also, I wanted to see him do well. Thought he'd be the guy that steps up in this side, and Kepi got the bigger minutes in this one, and Moali's still only 45, so what was annoying though was seeing him. They did have the head knock, I think, earlier on for Marrow, is that right? Yeah, and he kind of had to stay on that a little bit longer. He got closer to 30 minutes in his first stint. I was like, he played 29 the whole game last game. To be fair, if he got 33 last week in this 45 minutes, he wouldn't have stayed in my side, I don't think, for sure. Well, we'll see. But, yeah, 33, not good. Get rid of him, move on. Colin Matangi, 28. What a turnaround 2 games have. And these are the kind of guys where people ask about, and like, oh, wow, he got a high 60 score. But him on an edge, he's a high 40s guy. He worked hard last game. This game to only have 21 tackles in 94 run meters with 1 tackle break is pretty gross. So these are the guys where you can see the ups and downs. You can see the 30 odds, and then you see the 70. And you're like, wow, why don't we get him in our side? And then you look at the rest of his scores, and he's fairly low across different moments. So tough game for him. Campbell Graham, 31, was a really solid one. I thought he's just continuing to get back into his work. They didn't have a lot of attack down that right-hand side. Defensively, he seemed like he's doing a solid job for the most part. He did save one of those tries, but he did head high in that same motion. But Tuipulotu got some. They did score some tries down his side, but he just looks like such a solid player. Hey, Arrow 26 for him in 34, so he's really doing well, but he just seems to cop knocks after knocks. So hopefully he's okay going forward. He only misses the 1 week. It looks like he didn't pass that HIA, and he can come back bigger and better the following week. But we do have Ewan Aiken that's going to come back fairly soon as well. So Arrow, we'll see what happens with him. Might have to sell, unfortunately. Hopefully he didn't buy this week, and he did start with him. At least got a 45.5 average across the 2 weeks. Blake Laurie got his work in for 23 and 18. He had Sully go off in the back end of that game as well. So that's changed a couple of things around. But you still got Faitala Mariner getting low minutes off their bench. Havili 33 minutes. Tass for 21. I can't believe Little 30 minutes. But Tass 17 tackles, 5 misses. In this one, playing in the centres for Jack Whiten. And yeah, more of what we've seen over the last few years for Tass, unfortunately. So 26, his average across the last 2 games. Duncan played 32 minutes. Fletcher Myers for 14 in this one. And Jaden Sullivan, 459k. He's going to be getting cheap and cheap. All right. We move to the Cows and the Sharkies. Please do make sure you subscribe and follow along on podcasts and also the YouTube guys. I very much appreciate all that support and for coming in and getting the scoop on all the games that you saw this weekend. And in this Sharks game, you see the first 5-6 players being Sharkies with Drinkwater coming in heavy with a try at the end to sneak into that top 7 where you see Cowley-Rowe absolutely dominate. And man, I did think he would improve this year. The question was going to be, do you start with him given there's a decent chance that because he only had limited tries across the season and in a good team, he should be able to score some, that he would come out and play similar to what he played like in the last few months. And it's exactly what we've seen. He's gone 75. We went 40 odd into the 75 here and actually lost money last week. But these are the types of games where you get excited about. It's when he comes up against the lesser squads. He still scored pretty well against Panthers and then picks up a double here with 12 tackle breaks, 18 tackles for a miss, 113 run rate is actually fairly low compared to what we've seen from him in the past. A great score and someone I think we're going to want to target this year. Thankfully, centres are not a position that is a worry this year with guys like Toya, Lucas. We did see Shibasaki have a bit of a low one, but guys like Tamale, Garrick, Bradman Best, all in really good positions at the moment, scoring well. But he's a guy I'm looking at, and I really wanted to get him in Supercoach, but I was like, I'll wait. I'll wait the week and we'll make a decision. And Stone Street was actually another guy that I looked at as an easy trade-in target for someone like Alex Seyfarth, which I didn't do. But we'll see. We'll see how we go. They both got doubles, of course. And then Britton Nico was the other one I couldn't get to, and he actually had a bit of a low one outside of his try. So, yeah, there you go. Bit of Supercoach chat for you. Nico Hines, 64 for him with 4 goals, so he's back in action there. 1 try assist, 3 line break assists, kick for 324, which was good, and ran for 120. So that's all pretty normal for him. No tackle breaks though, and just the 1 offload. For him, it was great to see him kicking goals again. 324 kick meters. If we can keep that, then I think we're in for a pretty good show with Hines, and he could be a target again at some point. We did see Trindle kick for 309, which is solid. It's good to see them about 50-50. And with that, we could probably see Hines, if we can get him near 750 with the runs that they're gonna have, I think that he will be a target very quickly. Because if you can get him at 750k, which we'll get close to, I think, with the 64 after the low one, he'll still lose a bit of cash this week. If he happens to go, once they have harder matchups, a couple of 50s, we could see him at 750, and that's around a 55 to 56 price point. Yeah. And I definitely can see him averaging over 60 and being a great option to kick off the year. And he's, with that 64 now, is only a little bit behind where Cleary has started. So yeah, he's going to be a fun one for sure. Stone Street with the double and 4 line breaks. Pretty crazy there with 229 run meters. But yeah, up against the Cowboys, who this was definitely the game I thought that was going to be a shellacking. And it was 36-12. Could have been, at one point, they just stepped on the sideline. Murray Talangi could have been 16-10 or 16-12 at one point. Teague Wilton picked up his try and got those extra points, which was good because he had the 4 missed tackles and picked up a 57 with that try. So good on him. And owners for that one, it's a 51 average priced at 596. Awesome. Exactly what you want. Do you target him next week? Look, there are going to be games where he does a great job with getting a try. It's going to be pretty close to 100 meters gain and 40 tackles on a regular basis, and sometimes we'll miss a few less. Ronaldo, 53 for him with a try assist, a couple of line breaks as well. Not someone to target at this price point. If he got into the fours, I think he can definitely have a fun time of it at at different sections of this season. Blake Brayley with 52 in 80 minutes with a try assist as well. So good on him. 57 average across the first 2 games, and yeah, he's getting his base stats in with the odd try assist or the odd attacking stat, which is very helpful. He just doesn't run the footy very much, and you're relying usually on that defensive base, where there are other games where he does miss a bunch of tackles. Drinkwater, 49. If you have owned him from the top, you're very happy with this 49 in a tough game, and they do have a tough stretch coming up. If you did sell him, not the end of the world, but 49 after that lower score in round 1, you'll be happy enough with that. Did kick goals as well, which is frustrating as a Duffy owner, but if you're a Drinky owner, happy days there. McInnes, I think he was on like 30 odd in 29 minutes and then really slowed down the second half for a 48 and 63. Great minutes overall. To be honest, I didn't expect him to be up near this type of minutes across the first 2 weeks. I think it was 57 into 63. He's averaging 52.5, which is basically where he's priced at. So solid there. Britton Nickera, same deal, 52.5 for him with a 48 this week. So they've gone back-to-back, same scores. That's pretty wild. But a try for him and the line break, 23 tackles, very, very low, especially when the other side of Wilton hit 39 tackles. 114 run meters. He only missed the one, so that was good. And a penalty, but if you were getting a try and a line break out of Nickera, you were very much hoping that he would get over 50. So that part's frustrating. And as non-owners, we're looking at this and we don't want him to get too expensive. He's basically going to hold steady at this point. Cohen has come out and done a really good job, so I'm impressed with him. His work rate's been awesome in his first 2 games. He's playing near 40 minutes and has averaged 42. So great work for Cohen as a Cows fan. Will Kennedy, back-to-back, he's done it. 43 average across the 2. He's gone for 40 and 46. That's a great effort for Kennedy. And it is every second year that he does play well and score well, and he's done so to start with 2 try assists. Ramian somehow didn't score a try in this one. 7 tackle breaks, 190 run meters, and 15 tackles. So good efforts from Ramian for a base stat 40. Take that every day of the week, and there'll be other games where he gets the tries. Reece Robson, 39, hasn't begun the year like he did last year, and that's just great news for my Cowboys. That's for sure. But yeah, not good for fantasy, and I think he needs to be a sell. That's not great. Back-to-back, he'll be near 600k, so you can look at that and go, oh, he's a price at about a 44, 45 now. Is it worth selling? Oh, potentially. Just I think the Cows is going to get whacked, and I can't see him having too many chances in attack, unfortunately. And then John Bateman, unfortunately, a 39 for him in the 80 minutes. Minutes is great. Score not so good. So he had less tackles. He missed 5. He had an error and he had a penalty. I don't personally think we'll see this longer term. And he actually finished fairly well in that last 20 minutes after kind of sitting in the 20s, and it was kind of it was looking like he was going to struggle to get 35 and at least got near 40, which is good. 48 average across the first 2. At that price point, you are still winning, but he's someone to monitor. I think with so many good players out there doing great things, it's not a super fast start across the 2. Similar to Isaiah, obviously, he started great and then back down to earth the next week. But he still outscored Yo, so there you go. Kafusi did well. Kai O'Donnell, 37 in his first game. I think we'll see Jeremiah back fairly quickly, and I think Kai O'Donnell probably goes to the bench. I think he played well enough to keep a bench spot, but 37. If he keeps getting the spot, we didn't speak about him just because I thought Jeremiah would be back very quickly. He's obviously an injury away as well. If Bateman or Nanai were to go down, then he keeps that spot at a really cheap price, and with those types of minutes, that's great news. We'll wait and see. Adam Fanua-Blake, 36 in this one in 49 minutes. Not exactly what you were hoping for at all. 18 tackles. A few of these middles you saw with less tackles. 140 run meters, no offloads, 2 tackle breaks. And the minutes are down near the 50, which is frustrating if you are an owner. Thankfully, he played incredibly well against the Panthers. And you do hope that he scores a try next week to bring him back to a high 60 score. And that up and down nature we might see from Adam this year. If he's not involved in the attack and the team's doing well and there's less base stats in the games, then I think he'll struggle and he'll need to score tries in those games. Hold, definitely. McIntyre, 34. Dearden, 33 if you started with those two. Great PPM last week for McIntyre. Not so much this week, and this is back a little bit more back to normal, which we will see for guys with certain PPMs, that it will come back to the mean at some point. We saw that with Gilbert in the last one. He's a little bit under that 1 PPM, where he's over that in round 1, but his normal is under that 1. So that kind of made sense. It was just the minutes that were a problem with Gilbert. Loved his work rate, but just the minutes. Ruben Cotter, 28. He needs to be on everyone's radar. Similar with Robson, but I think Cotter, once they get through this tough run, he might be he might be in the 500s, which is what we got him at last year. And if the Cowboys can work it out over the next month of footy, then he could be a guy that you do purchase in that early 500s to mid 500s and do a good job. But 3 penalties, 4 missed tackles for Cotter is a mess, and he should definitely improve from that eventually. Griffin Neem, 27, along with Trindle, both pretty low scores and low minutes for Griffin, so he definitely hasn't taken that step up. Trindle with 25, good kick meters in this one, but he just doesn't seem to overall score great in fantasy unless he's getting in a tremendous amount of attacking stats, which the tries and the assists, they do come for him because he's involved in everything and they're a good team, but only 1 try assist and 25 points. Pretty gross. Tom Duffy, 25 in this one, did miss 5 tackles, but he was up against the great Kale Lero, so we'll have to let him live on that one. And it's definitely something we need to look at week to week. And I mentioned with Metcalf yesterday in that video, and thanks to a few people that reached out in the comments and were like, respect for what I say. I called Met Goat in the title, knowing that I sold him. I said I'm going to wear my heart on my sleeve, but I'm here for you guys overall. So thanks for that comment. I appreciated that. It's what I'm trying to do, is really be here for you guys. Give you the information you need. Don't be too biased on certain players and see it as it is, and give congratulations where it's deserved. So if you did hold him, awesome work. And in this one, when we're looking at that Metcalf situation next week, he's up against guys like Crichton and Nwangani Tuaze, who are terrific tackle busters. You saw this week, Duffy was up against Calero, Ronaldo, those types of players. When they're running at him, they're going to bounce off, they're going to make tackle breaks. And that's what we saw with Duffy this week compared to last week. And he had the 5 misses. And he had that 1 try assist. He had 17 tackles. It wasn't terrible. 17 for 5 in the end. He was about 5 for 5 at one point. So a great comeback for Duffy. He kicked for 383. But this is absolutely a baptism of fire right now. I'm not sure if he's going to keep his spot or not. The 25 will at least keep him making some cash. But starting him against those type of attacking plays, I will think twice about that. And therefore, Hubner might have been the better play. Just you always have to look back at your decisions and go, which one's going to be the better play this week? Just based off, who's running at them, especially these halves, because the quality of team they're coming up against, like, can they score really well? And like Duffy, he didn't do anything last week outside of have base stats, and he picked up a 40. And that's where I went into this week going, let's pick him as a starter, not thinking about how good guys like Eero are, which makes sense, and Trindle and Hines, and they've got heaps of really good attacking players. So that's just something to learn going forward, guys, I think. We had Hatapua as well come in and play, obviously, with, I was going to say Shane Shackleton, Hazleton out. So that was, good to see him out there, 22 and 17, just continuing on with his great work. What about Jackson Purdue? We had a try saver for him and a try, and unfortunately 22 points. That was pretty frustrating, but he obviously, stop saying obviously. Maybe I'm just tired this morning. Sin bin. He had the sin bin as well. So that was very, very tough. For 22 points, played the 70 minutes, and with those types of stats, he would have ended up at about a 30, potentially a little bit more. So it would have been fine. But yeah, for him to go 22, it's another frustrating one. He at least stabilizes his break even, which is good, but he's not making any money, which is not good. And then Braden Burns, unfortunately injured, 46 minutes. We may see a Robert Darby, but I don't know how excited I am to pick another outside back in this setup when he got 8 in 46 minutes. He did have a good game last week, but not so much in this next one. Raiders up against the Broncos. And let's get it out of the way. Very, very upsetting. Not owning Payne Haas. He had more minutes this week at 57. He had the 85 points. 85 points. This PPM is just freakish right now. But the problem is the offloads. As I said, him and Greg Marzio at the moment, just throwing him out the back for fun. He hates a missed tackle. Had his one error. Yay. 85 and 57. 36 tackles, no misses. 161 meters. 4 tackle breaks. 7 offloads. 6 to hand. So 26 points in offloads. It's just crazy how this is happening right now. And especially with the... Yo was great last week. Still got outdone by Haas. And then to go 30 compared to 85, it's the difference between dominating the beginning of the season and not. Guys like Connor Watson, guys like Payne Haas, if you have both of them, Ponga, Lucas, these types of guys, you're absolutely dominating this season so far. So congrats to you guys that do own Payne Haas. It's the worst watch of the week. For someone, what's frustrating to me is the fact that I've owned Haas every year, and the year that I go off him and go to Isaiah Yo, he drops out of 30. Like if Yo went back-to-back 60, 68 into a 58, I wouldn't have a problem with it, but it's the fact that he's gone 30 and Haas has gone nuclear. Better than he's ever has before to start a season. We know he's usually a 70 average to start the season, but 83 is just incredible. And he's been given the license to offload, but he just looks stronger every time he runs a footy. And he came back on, and there were a couple of sets in a row there. He went back-to-back double runs in a set, and he's getting offloads in that and going crazy. And congrats to him, but it's tough. It's tough viewing as a non-owner. Guys, let me know in the comments as well where you're at, what score you're at with how many players left. I imagine everyone's used their captain, and if you captained Payne Haas, or if you haven't captained yet and you've got Terrell May to come, that'll be fun as well. But let us know in the comments. I think everyone likes to see that, where you're at coming into the end of round 2 with 2 games to go and 4 players for me. Nicholson, welcome to the party. Wow, the man has arrived. 450k, 82 with 2 tries. What's sad here is that Hosking moved to the middle, and then in the first 10 minutes or 5 minutes or something, Nicholson goes over on the right edge where Hosking was. So that was tough viewing as a Hosking owner. 2 tries as well in the end. 59 run meters, 1 missed tackle, 2 turnover tackles, 7 tackle breaks. The bloke's a freak at 21 years old. Congratulations to the Raiders for this pickup. Absolutely incredible, and a great win for them. For them to go 32-22 against the Broncos, who played incredible last week, that is so special. So congrats to them. Broncos, Reece Walsh. My goodness. -2. Whew, that's tough. Tough viewing. And shout out to my girlfriend who is a, Pat Carrigan, Walsh lover. And ended up picking up Jack Gods this week as well, just to add to the Broncos. And so she went 39 for Carrigan, -2 for Walsh, 11 for Goz. That is, I thought, I was getting a little bit unlucky with the Yo situation. She has Yo as well, just to add to that. And I don't feel bad anymore. Let's just say that. But Nicholson, incredible. He'll stay on that right edge. I'm a little bit worried about my boy Hosking going forward. Next week will be fine because Tarpany's still out, so we should still get big minutes and a pretty good score from Hosking next week. He ran the footy plenty, which was great. But with Nicholson playing this well, in what world? Sorry, guys. In what world are we going to see Nicholson not be the edge player? And when Tarpany comes back for big minutes, what's going to happen with that situation? I think it'll be hard to see Hosking play near 70 minutes. And if he's in the 50s, in the middle, he's going to score like 40 and 45. And by that point, I think he'll be priced up a decent amount. And that's the good thing. We'll at least get 3 good weeks out of Hosking after the good one last week. He's averaging 57.5 across the 2. When he's at 601k, we'll go up some decent cash again. Hopefully another good score next week. And then there's a little bit of a worry when Tarpany comes back because Nicholson is a jet. So there you go. Dean Mariner, 62 for him. We'll have to watch the Nicholson situation, guys, as well. I don't know if you can buy him straight up next week. He could have a shocker given he's 21, but he could also continue to score well. Oh, the Starling one, that's hurting my soul. Dean Mariner, 62 for him with 2 line breaks, 225 meters, a couple offloads, 6 tackle breaks. Great work from him. Is he going to lose his spot? I was surprised when Shibasaki was going to keep his spot. And Mariner's playing now only because Staggs is out, but will he keep it when he comes back? That's going to be the question. Can't pick him up, I don't think. But yeah, that story will be fun. Starling, 60 for him in 70 minutes. My goodness. And he came back on at the end for the last 6 as well. And Horsburgh didn't come back on. That was rough. 60 points in 70 minutes. And we know that Starling's a 50 guy. And he's playing well into the high 60s and 70 minutes, which is just crazy. In the end, we saw last year when they had less of a quality 9 coming in after him that he would play 60 and 70 minutes, and then he went back down to 50 odd. So we're worried if that was going to be the case. But attacking stats are coming for Starling, and he's a freak, man. 2 turnover tackles as well for a smaller body against this pack. It's very impressive. So 60 points, and he's the one that's getting away. I actually think I thought he was a buy coming into this week. I still think he's a buy next week. He's going to be 495, 500. What's he going to go up? 32k. Yeah, he should at least go up 32k. So he's probably going to be 500 next week. Near 500, he's priced closer to 40. Is that right? Yeah, closer to 40, which is still not ridiculous. If he can average 50, then you're still 10 points of value from that point. I think he's really important, and the way they're winning games, he's doing an awesome job. He's involved in some of the attack. He defends well, runs the footy a bit out of dummy half. He's a great player in this side, and he has been for years. Owen Paddy is still super young, so I think minutes for him will stay fairly low. And at this point, Starling, a fairly safe option. I think that he's a good purchase next week. If you have someone in that mid-range that hasn't performed for you, you want to move him straight across or close to it, then Starling's good. And personally, thinking back now, I should have bought Starling over Gilbert at 100k less. Not 100k less, a bit less, 60k less. It's not crazy, to be fair, but just seems to be, at the moment, at that little bit of a cheaper price point, the better purchase. Although I don't really need hookers right now, mid and edge probably needed. So it's a fun one. It's a fun thought anyway. The Horsburgh, 24 tackles. That was low. Obviously, when he was on the park, it was lots of running for the Raiders. And that's where you saw him run for 127. You see Hosking for 140. You see Chris, Timoko all running for good meters there as well. Nicholson was the only one that didn't run for a lot. But 57, I'll very much take, especially in those minutes of 52. There will be other games where he does get back to that 60 mark. I thought he definitely would with Tarpany around, but I suppose if he played 60 last week, they were winning pretty handily. He didn't actually need to come back on at the end. I think, if they needed him to, if the game was tight, I think he would have come back on. And there will be games, I think, next week, personally, I think that he plays bigger minutes. And Ricky will give these guys a bit of a rest at some point. Nicholson didn't need to play that full 80. He hasn't had a heap of a preseason, and he's working his way into the squad and their the way they play and all that type of stuff. And he's not going to need to play 80, so he didn't force him to play that. Guys like Hosking, a bit more fitness under his belt, he could play the 71 minutes in this one and do a good job. So Horsburgh, 57, really happy with the PPM with that try assist at the end. He did offload twice. He did have a turnover tackle. He had a couple of tackle breaks. So if he gets those type of attacking stats with the base that we know that he can get in certain games, and then minutes can increase, he was a great pick. He continues to be a great pick. He's a 57 is up near a high 700s price point, and he's at 566. So it's a terrific purchase. Him and Humphreys, it worked out exactly as planned. 72 for Humphreys, 57 for Horsburgh. Happy days there. What about Seb, Chris, and Timoko? 57 and 56 apiece. Both getting attacking stats there. Really good efforts. Chris, 53.5 average. Timoko, 60.5. Raiders looking great. These guys have a clear runway of games, and there's a lot of these players that you could buy. Even Fogarty had 2 try assists early, worked his way to a 54. You've got Starling, you've got Horsburgh. Nicholson now comes into the fray, along with Timoko and Hosking, Horsburgh. There's so many options there. It's crazy how this one worked out. So that was good for those two. I don't think you can buy them at this point. Chris is going to go up another chunk. We've seen him being a mid-30s guy. Timoko we've seen great, but he's also had now back-to-back really good scores, and he'll be priced fairly high now in the over 40s price point, which you need him to go 50 plus then, and it's a bit of a hard one to see. Fogarty, if you've got him, doing a great job. Sticking solid basically at his price point. He made no cash last week. He'll be the same this week. Hosking, 53. Fairly happy with the score in the end. He was at 42. Came back on with 12 minutes to go. Made some points. Missed 2 tackles on when Broncos were just running around like crazy. I was like, oh no, he's going to end up on 45. And in 70 minutes, it's going to be really frustrating. But he worked hard in that last bit. They took away 1 missed tackle as well. Thank you. 53 and 71. I'll take it. Price, 44, whatever it is now. 57.5 average. Great start for him. Very happy as an owner, and at least one more week of good scores, and we'll work it out from there. Reynolds 51, Hudson Young 50, and Papali'i. So great start from Reynolds and Hudson Young. 58 apiece for those two across the two games. And yeah, you know what you're going to get from those two. They are guns and priced pretty well accordingly. Papali'i 50 with a try. Good on him. Nice to see as well. Jordan Ricky 49. Really solid first two games. Defensively has been pretty good. Good to see him score pretty well in a tough game. How good was Tamale? Ooh, 2 turnover tackles, and well, he had the intercept, which was one of them. He had the turnover tackle try saver where Cobbo ended up putting it down on the touchline and the try line, so that was great. Nice 10 points there, and picked up a try as well. So it was a slow game for him, built up into the game. A 44, and he's going to have a lovely price rise this week. So as we can see, most of our cash cows are doing pretty well. It's only really Jackson Purdue, and then guys like Shibasaki and Goz really slowed down their cash making in this one, which is frustrating for sure. But if you got their good score round 1, great. If you bought them this week, not so great. But swings and roundabouts, eh? Tamale, still a really good buy into next week. He got through the harder game, and it will get easier for him if he keeps his spot. And we saw Albert Hopewadi on the other side make a couple of errors. Tamale had a try-saving tackle, scored a try, did great things again. So I think we can continue to trust that he's going to keep this spot on the side, in my opinion. We'll see how we go. Hopefully he does. Because I bought him in Supercoach as well. Didn't play him. So he got the try. That was frustrating. Corey Pakes, 43 with him. 54 minutes. So he made 44 tackles. So shout out to Corey. Back-to-back pretty good scores. 33 last week into a 43. Big win for owners of him. What wasn't a win was Carrigan's score in 66 minutes. I don't know how that came about. No tackle breaks, no offloads, low run meters, low tackles. Just a tough one for Carrigan, and averaging 51 now across the two. I think he'll bounce back, similar to Isaiah Yeo, but not the game for those two boys apparently. Selwyn Cobbo, 37 with that one try. Did almost have 2. Wasn't to be. Jensen, 35 in 32 minutes. So pretty low minutes across the board for him across the first 2 weeks, which is interesting. I suppose that's the way they're going to use him. And Smithy's going down to 36 minutes. So he's really dropped down the pecking order. And game 1 with Tarpany there, he was the benefit minutes-wise. Now Nicholson's in the fray, and Hosking played 13. They gave Hosking the minutes. Thank goodness. Imagine Hosking went for 36 minutes. I would cry. That's for sure. But 32 for Smithy's in that time out there. Good PPM. I think they'll use him as like a 40-minute prop, it seems like. So there you go. Solid outing for him in those minutes, but the minutes were terrible. So make sure you sell him if you're on that bandwagon. Mariota with 24 minutes along with Simi Sasangi. So they've got their guys that are really important for their team, and they're sticking with them, and they're absolute jets. So why not? Hetherington 30 for him, 48 minutes, good minutes. PPM trash as always. When it comes to real games, I can't believe he went out in that trial game and just played like a jet, and then he's gone back to normal once the game starts. Of course, well, same as David Wiley, to be fair, on that one. Ben Hunt, 19. Ouch. So he's going to need the attacking stats, isn't he? If they're playing great, he'll be involved in all that. Sounds pretty similar to Shibasaki, who had 4 missed tackles in this one, made 6 as a center, ran for 119, which was ideal, but low score for him with 15. And then you did see Piakura come on and play 32 minutes with Goz playing 48. So there was an absolute stuff around in that round 1, seeing Goz play the 80 and Piakura not be ready. Maybe he's building into it. And they just straight swapped Goz in this one, but he did miss 4 tackles, made 13 in his 48 minutes. It's pretty gross, so maybe that's fair enough that he was moved on. And then KO Weeks with 17, so he's just not the focal point, isn't he? They've got these centers that are absolutely crushing, and then you've got Fogarty and hitting Nicholson short and stuff. That Weeks is he's done his job at the back, which is great. But he hasn't needed to score well at all. And keep an eye out on KO Weeks, because that's 21 average in 2 weeks. He's going to have a massive price drop of like 30,000+. He'll be in the 400s. And if you can get him anywhere near 450 or below, if the Canberra Raiders keep playing well, he should be able to get near that 40 average. So wait for him to get down to about a 30 price point. If we can get him there, then you can trust that he'll get 40 for sure. Shiba was really frustrating. You're holding him, you're holding Gods for sure, but you might think twice about playing him next week. And Albert Hopewadi, 3 missed tackles, 2 errors for him at 124 meters. So not much happening on his side in this game. And just hopefully he doesn't keep his spot. And then Ethan Strange, 8. in 80 minutes. Wow, didn't expect that. 40 run meters. And then Owen Paddy 11 was low. Billy Walters, watch out for him getting really cheap as well, but we will see Blake Moser back soon. Reece Walsh, -2. He had 4 missed tackles, 4 errors, a penalty, and an inside 10. 96 run meters, 2 tackle breaks. Shout out to the people that captained him in Supercoach too. That's super frustrating. You might have had Turbo as vice and then Walsh as captain or something like that, if that's where you were playing it. Imagine he didn't take Ponga's vice captaincy and then decided to captain Walsh. I think he went like, I don't know, 10 or something little. And so, yeah, shout out to Whisperer's page. It was like, someone DM'd him, was like, if Walsh is my lowest scorer and he's my captain, do I get another captain? You don't. It's just your lowest score. If your captain doubled is still your lowest score, then that's just, it comes out of your side. It just is what it is. But a -2 is just ridiculous. So we need to be on Walsh watch, right? For him to go -2, he couldn't have played any worse. He's now averaging 22.5 across the 2 games. And that -2 is going to be in his little break even for a while. He's going to get to 600k so fast, it's not even funny. And as soon as he hits near that mark, pricing it at 44 or under that, we're going to snaffle him up for sure. It might be around 5 or 6 that we get him, but keep an eye on Reece Walsh and guys like that, and keep them in your plans. Guys like Isaiah, if you don't own them, like I'm an owner, but if you don't own him, then you'll be targeting him. And guys like Payne is going to be like 870 next week, which is just wild. Price in the mid to high 60s, which is crazy. But that's the 3 games, guys. Just put 4 up. 3 games. Thanks so much for being here. All the information, if you want to get involved in the private crew, get my one-on-one advice, get help from all the legends in there. That is in the description. It's $35 for the rest of the season. It's like 8 months, $4 a month, which is pretty wild for that kind of community and good advice and just nice people, which is awesome. Jump in that. And can't wait to watch these games today. We've got 2 late games. What's the theory there? 4:05 p.m. and 6:15. Get rid of that Belmore game at 6:15. Put it at 2 o'clock. That's a mistake. But yeah, I'll have to do my video, the 5 things I've learnt for the week, pretty late today. But at least you get time to watch this video and get around that. So thanks so much for being here. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll catch you in that next one.